Okay, and I'm going to share my desktop so that you can. So, Rita, can you just tell me if you can see the? Can you see my desktop?
Yes, we can see it.
You can't see it. Good. All right. So let's start. All right. So welcome everybody. My name is Wendy Arnold. I am the author of English for Palestine, grade 1 to 6. And I was also the teacher trainer for Palestine for grades 1 to 12 for many years. All right. So first of all, I hope that you all recognize this. Do you all use the English for Palestine website?
We use the English for Palestine website.
Yeah.
It has
All right, because it has good. That's very important, because this website was developed so that when all the training was finished, that the teachers in Palestine would have all the materials. So if you lost the materials, or you know, the new teachers came, you would have material. So there I am, the writer. So it some time ago that I wrote this, but I've written lots of material since, and I'd say that English for Palestine is probably my proudest work. It's the one I put the most energy into, and I still stand by what I did. I also just want to show you that there are many little video clips to help you with different parts of teacher training. And that's really important for you to know and to keep refreshing yourself. So I'm sure since 2011, which is what now 8-9 years ago, you have many new teachers. Those teachers need to be shown where to get information from. And these are all videos. Unfortunately, they're all of me. You're going to get really fed up of me, but this will help you to refresh or to understand what was going on in my head when I was writing. So here you are, you've got 11 different workshop video clips. I did a lot on early literacy, very, very important. And that's what I'm going to do today again. So once I finish today, I would urge you to go back and look at these videos again, because it will really help you. They are all me, but I'm saying the same kind of message in different ways. And here's another one, phonics. And here's another one, phonics. Using the teacher's guide. I wrote the teacher's guide as well, which is unusual because publishers many times get somebody else to write it. And I said, no, the teacher's guide are lesson plans so that the teachers feel that I am standing next to them. I am like your guide by your side. So it's really important that you follow them, that the teacher's guide is the lesson plan. All right, there are also training packs for the trainers. Please, please look at them. And yet again, reading. This is in 2013. All right, and in 2012, I gave another webinar.
The Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
Right, so here we have grade 1, just to remind you the developmental stages of learning to read, because that is what I'm going to do today. Learning to read starts with letters and sounds. So grade 1 includes the alphabet, phonics, and whole word activities.
FM tuner. Line in.
Ooh, what is that? Rita, what's that? That's some strange...
We were trying to fix the sound. Now
Okay.
it works well.
Okay, good. Right, just very quickly, I want you to take an active part here as well. Anybody who has done training with me before will know I use this many times. I want you to think about using those 4 words at the top. I want you to do the gap fill. I want you to think and then tell the person sitting next to you, and then let's share all together. Fill that gap fill. This is the naturalistic order of learning language. What do you think is the order? I'll give you 1 minute.
You need to a word before you can. You need to finish a word. And you need to first hearing. So this is a good one. Would you sit here next to me? So I guess it starts from hearing, then saying, then on the end, reader comes on the end. I guess so.
Right, who wants to start? What's the first one? You need to... Yeah, you need to hear a word before you can say it. Say it. Why? Why?
This is the first skill when the kids
Their mother tongue. First
first they listen to it, then they could produce the language and say the words.
Because if you don't hear the words, how can you know how to say them? How do you know how to speak? So it's really important that learners have opportunities to hear a lot of language before they have to say things. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so what's the second one? So you need to hear a word before you can say it, and then?
You need to say the word before you read it.
That's right. But why?
Because first you hear the words, this is the input, then you produce it, then the encoding and decoding comes at later stages.
Right. So you need to be able to say a word in order to be able to read it.
Yeah.
Because what happens when you say a word and then you see the symbols? What's happening inside your head?
You associate the symbols with the sounds of the language or the words.
That's right. Exactly. And mankind has invented lots and lots of symbols. All the languages have got different symbols, but they all do the same thing. They represent what we say. So the symbols are just a representation of what we say. Yeah? So you need to be able to hear it and say it before you can read it and understand what it is. And then the last one is you need to
read in order to write.
Okay, and why is that?
Because this is the natural order. So in terms of you listen, then you say, then you read, and after that you write.
Yeah.
This is the systematic
because
order.
if you can't read the words, then how on earth can you write? You can't write because you wouldn't know how to write. Yeah?
Yeah.
So you need to keep that idea firmly in your head. This is why you have lots of audio. You have, if you look at the teacher's book, and I really hope that you do look at the teacher's book because they are your lesson plans. There is a lot of activities of listening and speaking. What I don't want to find is that teachers are going straight into writing, reading and writing, because in that way you are making deaf and dumb children, and we don't want that, do we? That is
Sure.
what you are doing. Now, I know that the Taujihi, very sadly for me, I don't think it has listening and speaking in it, does it?
No.
No, it doesn't.
But here at our schools, we have integrated listening activities in every single test.
Good. That is so important. Now, I think it's very sad that the Taujihi doesn't have listening and speaking, because teachers see that and they don't value it. That's it. Okay, that might solve it. Right, next one. So I think it's really important to understand how I have developed the reading skills. So grade 1 is the alphabet, letters and sounds, which is the phonics and whole word activities. Then grade 2 builds on the words that we did in grade 1 and more opportunities to read words and simple sentences. Now, some words in English you cannot sound out, okay? They are what we call tricky words, and you just have to memorize them. And you have to memorize them so that they're sort of automatic. The children recognize them automatically.
And sight words, yeah.
That's right. So we have a combination of decoding. Decoding is linking the letters and sounds and blending, but also just memorizing some of the sight words. The thing is, you cannot memorize all the words in English. We have too many. We have many, many more words than Arabic. Okay, so if you only get the children to memorize words, they will never, ever be able to know very many words in English, okay? Then grade 3 is a build of grade 1 and 2, and we go from sentences to simple text, to simple paragraphs. And then grade 4 builds again, and so on, all right? And there's just to show you again, so grade 1 is probably the most difficult of all the grades to teach. Who teaches grade 1? Let me see. Put your hand up if you teach grade 1. Okay. You are a very special person. And it is the most difficult of all the grades, because you have to do so many things. The children have to learn so many things at the same time. So you can see on this one, the letters and the sounds, I have linked to names of the characters and the vocabulary in the unit. I don't start reading yet, but we do start writing with numbers first of all, okay? Very important that you focus at the beginning on the letters and the sounds, not really pushing the reading yet. Then we introduce the reading. The reading is only really introduced in Unit 6, because the important thing is to get the children used to listening to English and repeating and saying and getting confident and not scared about it. So we introduced the reading in Unit 6 and the writing in Unit 6. And again, I have tried to keep it very simple with the letters because the children are doing such a different style of writing from Arabic. I've tried to keep it really simple and easy at the beginning because there's a lot for them to learn. And the important thing is that they get Arabic first. I don't want to confuse learning to read and write in English with Arabic. They must get Arabic first, yeah? Because that is their mother tongue, and so on. So for all the teachers, it's really important to look at the unit and the content and look at the order of how I have introduced things. So grade 1 teachers, grade 1 and 2 teachers, I think need to be the best teachers in the whole education system because you are having to do so many things. Okay, and so on. So today we are, listening and speaking, we've already spoken about the importance of listening and speaking, and today now we're going to this man-made invention called reading with, you know, the symbols are different in every single language. We have to learn how to decode the symbols and you need to be taught explicitly. So learning to read. So the learning outcomes are basically that you need to understand that reading is not just one thing. There are 3 different strategies. You need to understand there is a difference between the name of the letter and the sound it makes. So when teachers, when I ask them, do you do phonics? Do the children have an awareness of phonemic, you know, phonemic awareness? And teachers say, yes, 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 they know their ABC. It's like, no, it's not going to help them. The alphabet is only good for dictionary work. It does not help you to know how to say a word. Okay. Now the other thing is I want to show you the similarities between learning to read in English and Arabic because there are quite a few. So here are the reading strategies. Semantics, graphophonics, and syntactic. What we're going to focus on today is the graphophonics only, because the semantics and syntactics would take another hour each. Okay, so this is decoding, semantics is encoding, and syntactic is good old grammar, which, by the way, I hate. So don't talk to me about learning language through grammar because I don't like it at all. It is like making it into a mathematical formula, and I'm allergic to that completely. So graphophonics. Just very quickly, what letters, the symbols and sounds do you think are different in English and Arabic? Just have a think about that. 1 minute. Think, pair, and then we'll share.
One sound just related to the letter of the sounds. We don't have silent letters. We don't have silent letters. Sometimes total letters. One sound. Yeah. One sound equals one letter equals one sound. So it's easier for kids to learn how to read Arabic than to English. In English we have silent letters. We have couple of vowels producing one sound, maybe three letters making one sound. So this is a problem.
All right. Who's going to? I want somebody in the back, not the people in the front the whole time. Who's going to tell me what letters or symbols and sounds do you think are different in English and Arabic? There is no such thing as a silly answer, so just Whatever is in your head. Are they the same? Are the symbols, the letters, the same in English and Arabic?
Okay, well, as we all agree upon that, I think the most problematic area in about this is the silent letters. You have too many silent letters in English language, but we don't have very much same thing in Arabic. That's
Okay.
why most of our students who may pronounce a word like foreigner, they will say foreigner. A word like neighbor, nighabar. So yeah.
All right. So okay. All right. So you're actually telling me what the difference is between English and Arabic. Arabic is quite a simple language to learn to decode once you know the symbols and the sounds. Yeah? English is not quite so easy, but let's just have a look at how do they look?
Lamia, would you say something?
So, what is the same? They are completely different, is basically what I wanted you to think about. Not only do the symbols look different, but the directionality is different. So Arabic goes from right to left, English goes from left to right. The symbols don't look the same. And I'm not going to get into the grammar side of, you know, the things that you don't have in Arabic and we have in English, but basically they don't look the same. So very young children who are just learning Arabic and then are learning English, this is why you need to have brilliant teachers in grade 1 and 2, because those little children are learning two totally different looking languages.
At the same time, yeah.
At the same time. Now they have an advantage with Arabic because they speak it and they understand it already. The disadvantage with English is that they haven't had input yet. So they need to start with lots of listening and speaking in the same way that when they were very little and learning Arabic, they just focused on listening and speaking and understanding and communicating. This is what we need to do in English as well, because when you come to learning the symbols in a language, you need to have a lot of vocabulary that you understand inside your head. Yeah? So the focus really in grade 1 and 2 is to build up a big bank of language inside the children's head. So when they come to see this strange English version of symbols, they can start to link one, you know, what they hear with what is written down. Now, so at the back of this PowerPoint, I have given you some cuttings from a fantastic book called Learner English, which is available for downloading. Now this is, it is online. I don't know why it's online. I had to buy it years ago, but maybe it's out of print now. But it is brilliant in that somebody has analyzed the difference between English and about 13 different languages. And I'm just giving you some cuttings between Arabic and English. Some of this you will have worked out for yourself. Some of it maybe you haven't. But what is interesting is it tells you where the problems will be between English and Arabic, okay? Now you've probably worked a lot of them out for yourself when you were learning English, but I think it is good to refresh your memory about the differences between the two languages. And one of them is that The English spelling, there's an influence on English spelling and pronunciation, because Arabic is very like Spanish actually. Every single part of the symbol is how you say it. English doesn't have that. It has 68% though. So this is why I think it's worth learning letters and sounds and learning to decode. So what's the similarity between English and Arabic? Well, one of them is that actually 68% does function. If you know the letters and sounds, you can start to work out how to say a word. Okay. All right. So it is not that different with reference to decoding texts, but you need to know the sounds. Right. So the next thing, I want to go through this. I want to zip through this because you should all know this. And we're going to go through each one saying what the name of the letter is, which is what you find in the dictionary, and what the sound is, okay? Because this is where you, as models of the language, are passing on information for the children to learn. So let's do this all together, okay? Now, what I would normally do is teachers would have this grid, and this would be their sound grid, and they would draw a picture or write a word that linked that sound, and it could be a word in Arabic, but it links that sound with, so they see the picture or they see the word and their brain remembers what sound it is, yeah? So I would like you to do that. I'd like you to do that. If you've got a copybook, if you've got something to write on, I'd like you to do that. Have you all got a copybook or something you can write down? I think it's really worth doing. By the way, can you see me? I can see you. Do I appear anywhere? Because I've got two screens and I think it's this one I'm looking at you, yes?
We can see you, yeah.
Okay. Okay, right. So I think it's worth you writing this down. And of course you will have a copy of this later to look at. So the name is, what's the name of this letter?
A.
A. And the sound is? Ah. Now it's really important. This is how little children learn to say the sounds correctly in their language. It's the shape of your mouth. Okay? Ah. Ah. Okay, ah. Right, let's go to the next one. So here you would write, you would draw a picture of whatever brings that sound into your head. You know, the classic one is apple, if you want. I quite like ant, because that's a nice blendable word. But you have to draw a picture or write a word that triggers inside your head that sound. Now, I am only going to do the simple phonemes, but you can see underneath that I have done the other letters and sounds for the spellings, okay? So this is to help you, but I'm only going to do the simple phonemes today. But this will help you later on when you come and look at this and say, oh, okay, there are words with the a sound, but the a sound appears when there's ai together, ay together, or a and an e. Okay, that's why I've put that there. But we're just going to concentrate on the simple one. So the name is? This one here, B. The name is B, and the sound is? B. 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 All right, B. Bin, boy, boat, bus. Right, next one. The name is?
C.
And the sound is? K. 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 Now, be very careful with this one, because this is a common mistake. When teachers say, oh, the sound is S, it is only S when there is an E, an I, or a Y. Okay? So just be careful. So it's K the rest of the time. That is K, that is K. C and K together. Whoops, how did I do that? That's very clever. Go back to that. So C and K together is also K. Right, and the next one. The name is D, the sound is? D. Good, very good. The name is E, the sound is? Egg, egg, egg. I don't know why elephant is usually used. I think it's a very complicated, long word. So I like egg. I've just given you a simple example of a blendable word to link with that. Okay. Now, again, I've given you all the combinations that you can get of the sound E as well. But right now, I just want the simple E sound. Because as you know already, it's the vowels that cause the problems in English. Right, the name is? F, and the sound is?
Stretching sound.
It's just fan, fish, five, f. Put your hand in front of your mouth and say the sound and say the sound. What's happening?
You can feel the breath.
You can feel air coming out. Okay. The name is G and the sound is? G, like gun. Now, this one, in the same way that K changes, when you add an E, an I, or a Y, it changes to the sound J, J, J. Same changes, but only with E, I, and Y. Changes to J. Right, this one. The name is H, and the sound is H, H. As if you're running and you're very, very hot.
Out of breath.
Yes, you're out of breath. H. Right, the name is I, and the sound is I. Very good, very good. Again, I've given you all the nasty ones underneath here, which are the I sound. The name is J, and the sound is J, J, J. The name is K, and the sound is J.
Just the
What?
same like.
That's right. I was going to say, what other letter has the same sound? K. K for cat and K for kick. Okay. The name is L, and the sound is? Oh. 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 Now, if you say la, then the children will think it's la-ip. It's not. It's oh. Just oh. Okay? So it's very important not to add any other sound to it. The name is M, and the sound is man. The name is N, and the sound is So look at the difference between those two. My lips are closed. My lips are open. Here's a lovely, another vowel. The name is O, and the sound is O, 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 on. Now here I've given you all the combinations of when it says O. Okay, these are the combinations. Right, the name is P and the sound is? Put your hand in front of your mouth. What happens? Coming out, yeah. The name is Q and the sound is? Now, in English, the Q always has a U with it, always. Now, there are some words that don't have, for example, the name of the country, Qatar. But that is because it's not an English word, okay? So in English, our words with the Q always have a U, and the sound is K and W together, Qu, Qu, quick, queen, quiet, Qu. The name is R, and the sound is red, rabbit. Okay. The name is S and the sound is like a snake. Sip, sip. The name is T and the sound is t, 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 t. Put your hand in front of your mouth. T, 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 t. Air is coming out. Here's another lovely vowel. The name is U and the sound is ah, ah. Now the easiest word for that is up. Not umbrella, that's way too long. But a nice easy word to learn that sound is up, up. Yep. The name is the, look at my teeth. The, and the sound is the. Put your hand on your throat. The. The name is W and the sound is, look at my lips, w. Win, water, Wendy. Wendy. I don't know why, but Arabic speakers usually call me Windy, which is quite funny. I'll tell you why it's funny, because before I got married, my surname was Blow, B-L-O-W. So I got teased a lot. I was Windy Blow, which was like, no, this is terrible, terrible. I must get married very quickly. So the name is X and the sound is X, X, X. So when we have the letter X at the beginning of a word, it is always X, X. But when we have it at the middle of a word or at the end of the word, it's X, box, box. The name is Y and the sound is Y, Y. And the name is Z and the sound is Z. Now put your hand on your throat like this. Hand on your throat. So say the sound Z. Let me hear you. Z. Now try it again with the sound S.
Voiceless.
Yes, one's voiced and one's unvoiced. Okay. Now, you can see underneath I have put some of these diphthongs, and I've got the digraphs as well. Now, we do introduce those to children, so you need to know what they are. So this one here, a C and an H together, is chemistry. But it can also be church, chocolate, chant. Okay, so you need, this is what, for your information, you need to know that. You need to know that a P and an H together is, it's the same as a sound, which is this one here. You need to know that an S and an H together is sh. So there's a difference between snake, look at my mouth, and this one here is shh, shh. You know, if the class is being very noisy and you go shh, shh, be quiet, shh, that's the sound, okay? This one causes a bit of a problem as well. This, whoops, clever. This one causes a problem. There are two sounds here. One is for all the weird words, high frequency words like the, them, they, that, this, the. Okay, luckily they are all those strange words in English that you just have to memorize. The second sound is, put your hand in front of your mouth, think, teeth, teeth, okay? Third, and then this one is a high frequency, what, why, when, again, all the question words, okay? Right, those are, you know, very quickly, all the letters and the sounds in English. Now, this is a very good website because it helps you to look at the shape of the mouth as well as to listen to the sound. So that this is worth going to have a look at, okay? Just because you are the model for the children. So now, this is very important to know as well. Your version of English is an Arabic speaker's English. It is a variety of English that is perfectly acceptable. And there will be sounds when you speak English that is, I can tell, you're an Arabic speaker. Okay, there's interference from the L1, but that is absolutely okay because no one is expecting either you or the children to suddenly become like native English speakers. That will never happen. All right, the model that the children are listening to most of the time is you. And because it is you, they will learn from how you speak English. They are not getting enough input from the audio to become a native speaker. But that's absolutely fine because they are learning English not to become an English person, but to be able to communicate using English. Yeah? Does that make sense? Good. Okay. So decoding is knowing the letters and the sounds and blending to say the words. Encoding is making meaning of the words, which are the semantics. So we're doing the decoding, which is knowing the graphophonics. We're not doing the encoding, which is making meaning. I've done other webinars for that, and if you look back at the website, the Macmillan website, you can find out more. And maybe next year I'll do semantics with you if you'd like me to, but I have done it already. Okay, so another thing that you might notice is that I have not introduced the alphabet in the order of the ABC. I have introduced it in the high frequency letters and sounds in English. This is how English children learn to decode in English. Why use the ABC? There is no reason whatsoever until you do dictionary work. So they do their phonemic awareness according to the high frequency letters and sounds in English. Because as soon as you learn what the letters and sounds are, you can start to blend letters and sounds together and make words. In the same way that you blend the symbols in Arabic to be able to decode and say the words. This is where English and Arabic are very similar. So we focus on the children being able to recognize the initial sounds in words, and then we show them how to decode with simple vowel consonant or consonant vowel consonant words. Okay, so their brains start to think, oh, okay, it's quite similar to Arabic. Obviously there are differences, but at the beginning, we want them to be comfortable that you can actually blend these letters and sounds together. So these are the steps. Sorry?
Even nonsense words if they first.
Yes, exactly. Nonsense words are a really good way to play, and children love that. The children don't actually have enough vocabulary to know the difference between a nonsense word and not. So you can have a lot of fun doing that. And all it is, it's getting them to hear the sounds in words and to link the letter, the symbol with the sound. Very important. And it's exactly the same process in Arabic. All right. So blending is for reading, which is what we're doing. Segmenting is for spelling and writing. Segmenting is when you hear a word and then you try and work out what sounds you hear. Okay, that is for spelling and writing. So phonemic awareness, how was it introduced in English for Palestine? Well, this is something I cut and pasted from your teacher's book. And you can see that I give you very clear instructions. The teacher's book is the lesson plan. And years ago, I spoke to your supervisory department in Ramallah. Were you there?
No. We've discussed that in our first online meeting.
Aha. Okay. I spoke to them years ago and I said, please, please, please do not make the teachers write another lesson plan, because then they will not use my teacher's book. I want them to use the teacher's book as the lesson plan.
Thank you.
Because it is wasting your time. I don't want your time to be wasted. Why to write it again when you have it here? All right, so here you can see very clearly I have divided your lessons into different parts, but I have made it very clear where the phonemic awareness, the linking between what the children are hearing and sounds is very clearly written down, okay? Again, I say grade 1 and grade 2 teachers, you have the hardest job, because this is where I've introduced it. Later on, it's much harder for the children. So it really needs to happen in grade 1 and grade 2. All right, so let's have a go at blending. I have got a little bit of a passion with these Siamese cats. So here we have a k and an a and a t. Now, the way I teach this, I don't know if you can see it, I use my fingers. So, k, a, and hold together, cat. Now, I don't know how you do Arabic. If you do something in Arabic that could be transferred into English to show how you blend the sounds, please just use the Arabic technique. Because all we're doing is helping the children understand that you're putting those sounds together. Right, I want you to have a go at blending these sounds, all right? I'm going to say them and I want you to blend them and then say the word. Just to let you know, they are nonsense words. So don't try and make your brain understand it. Okay, so you ready?
Yes, we are.
Aw. Aw. Put together. Thought. Well done. Well done. Let's have another one. P, e, r. P, e, r. Pear. 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 Okay, and one last one. W, w, e, z, z. Together? Whiz, 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 whiz. Okay, I mean, you can play a lot of games with the children with that, and they don't know if it's a nonsense word or not. And that doesn't matter, because they don't have enough vocabulary at this point anyway. But what you're teaching them is the concept of what they hear, the sounds can be blended together. And that's what we want them to start to understand. Because it's the same as Arabic. Arabic, you do exactly the same thing, I believe. Is that true?
Mostly the same, but in Arabic it's easier because you have one letter, one sound, that's it. So it's
Exactly,
easier.
exactly. But do you start to teach the concept of blending before you show the symbols? Because what I'm suggesting is don't let the children, don't do it with the actual symbols, the letters. Get them to do it orally, first of all, before you show the letters. Yeah? So you don't need to show them the symbols in order to teach blending. They should do it orally before they do it with the symbols in front of them. So for example, you know, once they understand the letters and the sounds for SATPIN, which are all the names of the characters in that's introduced in Unit 1, you can start to say, okay, so the sound like salwas and and t, put them together. T, together. Sat. Okay. That concept can be taught without using the actual symbols. You don't have to show them the letters. Because the minute you show them the letters, because they're so different to Arabic, they will panic. So you can teach that without showing them the actual letters. Right, going to go on to which of the following high frequency words are unblendable? So I'm just going to show you, these are the first 50 high frequency words that occur in English. You will find them, these are children's words, the ones that children use. Just look at those very quickly and tell me, just call out, which ones can you not blend?
The first one we can say said. It can't be blended in the same
said, yes.
way.
Said you cannot, because it's s, ai is d, said. Now, you can blend it when you know the ai is but that won't happen for a long time. So I would stay away from that one. You just have to memorize it, but it is a high frequency one. Tell me another one that is not blendable.
R and her.
R, yeah.
Her.
And the R.
Okay, yes, that's right. Her, hair. No, see, it's not blendable. So you have to memorize that. R as well. A, e. No, it's not blendable because it has that E in it and you don't say that. Now, interestingly, to is not it is not blendable. To, go is, now why is go not blendable? Go, o.
Because like it's a different.
Okay. Go is not blendable because it does not follow the alphabetic principle. The alphabetic principle is that in order to blend, it has to say the sound of the letter, not the name of the letter. And go says the name of the letter. Yeah? In the same way that no, o, says the name of the letter O, not the sound. It's not o, no, it's o, no. Get that? Right, so those are unblendable. Well done, you've got some of those. So here we are. These are unblendable. The, to, go, no, to, said, he, e, sh, e, e, because it says the name of the letter, not the sound. Excuse me. I have managed to pick a cold up, even though I have not been outside or seen anybody for about a week, except for my husband. Oh, it's very cold here in England at the moment. We had very heavy frost this morning. Right,
So
these
it is sunny here.
Is it sunny? Well, it's sunny. Yeah, it's sunny here, but it's cold. It's, you know, we're very close to getting snow now. So these are all unblendable. Now, these are blendable because when you know that TH is the, then you can blend this. The, n, the, the, at, that, the, it's, this, and, it, it's. They're all blendable. Okay.
So can I ask a question?
Sorry?
When can you, just a question, Wendy, if you may allow me. Now, when can we introduce some spelling rules like to help students read the words like he? Now, this is a long vowel like he. It doesn't have a consonant.
Yes, personally, I would not do that. I would introduce the name of the letter and the sound of the letter so that when you're talking about spelling, you can say to the children, okay, this says the name of the letter and this part says the sound. So when you start to talk about the meta language, which is, you know, the long vowel sound and the short vowel sound, I think you can do that when children are 10 to 12 years old, but I wouldn't do it when they're little because they're not cognitively ready to understand that.
But for example, very simple spelling rules that will help them to read, and like when two vowels are walking, the first is
yes,
so
yes. No, I like, yes, no, I do like that one. I think that's a nice one. That's a nice one. But again, I would only introduce that when they're about 10 years old. So if you think about Piaget's cognitive stages of development, children are not ready to understand those abstract ideas before the age of 10. So I wouldn't bother before the age of 10. Yeah, I really wouldn't bother. I think it'd be very confusing. Anyway, so here are some games for practicing letters and sounds. Good old I see something, which is I spy, basically. And you'll see these games in the teacher's book. Right at the front in the preliminaries, I have got a lot of different activities that you can use for different parts of language. But this one is particularly good. I've changed I spy to I see something that starts with the sound t, t, for example. So have a look around you in your room. What starts with the sound t? T, 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 t. Table. Table. Yeah? Teacher. Teacher. Now, when they're a little bit more able to link letters and sounds, you could try a word that ends with. Now, this is more complicated and you do have to write them down. Otherwise, you won't just think about them. But I wouldn't do that until the children are like grade 5 or 6. I would do that right from the start, grade 1, because you're introducing the concept of the sounds in what you say. Air writing. I hope you all do air writing, because that's a really, really good technique. So you have your back to the children, and in the air in front of them, you do a really big letter, and you ask them to say the sounds, and then they can blend them together. So can you see me? Can you see what I'm writing in the air? What's that sound? What's that sound?
C or
Yeah, I don't want the name, I want the sound. What's the sound?
sound.
K. And then now what is the next sound?
O. A.
Yeah, I don't want the name, I want the sound. Give me the sound. Ah. Now the last one. P. So K, A, P. Together? Cap. Cap. There you are. Cap. And you've blended. That is a really good technique. And the children could do that with each other. I really like this one as well. Back writing in pairs. So using their finger, they write on their partner's back. And that's really good for spelling. Anything kinesthetic like that is very good for, and actually all of these techniques are good for Arabic as well as English. Okay, clap the number of sounds you hear. Now we're really starting to go into segmenting. Okay, this is when the children hear a word and you want them to identify how many sounds. So for example, if I said, I'm going to make up a word, right, and I have to really think about this, a made up word. Whip, whip. How many sounds? Clap how many sounds? Good, you can hear 3 sounds. So it's syllables, really good thing for, and again, I'm sure Arabic is the same, that getting the children to hear the sounds in a word helps them with their spelling. Here we have some another game. Target, give a selection of letters, and the class makes the words. Okay. Now you can only do that once they know how to say a word. They have linked the letter and the sound. Okay. So if they try to blend that, they won't be able to. D-g-o. No, is that a word? No. So let's try another way. Is it o-g-d? No. So let's try d-o-g. Does that sound like a word? D-o-g. D-o-g. Dog. Okay. So target is a good game as well. Shark attack is a good game. Again, you focus on the sounds, not the name of the letters. All right, and children call out. So you think of a word, you write how many sounds are in it. The children give you some sounds. You write in the correct ones. The incorrect ones you write down here. It's the same as hangman. You probably know the game hangman. It's quite similar to that. Right, and we have nearly come to the end. I want you to think of 3 things that you have learnt today, 2 things that surprised you, and 1 thing that you must remember. When you think of these, tell the person sitting next to you. All right, who wants to tell me something that you learnt today?
So, Wendy, Rana is asking, confused about why a word like he, it has high frequency, it is not blendable. So we have the sound and the e sound, and what it's
All right.
like
Okay, because the alphabetic principle of blending is you can only do it with words that have the sound of the letter in it, not the name. Now he is H-E. It has the name of the letter, not the sound.
But he is one of the sounds of this.
Yes, it is. It is. But there are 2 things going on here. One is the phoneme name. The phoneme name is the sound that the letter makes, not the name of the letter. So we got 2 things here. We've got the phoneme and the grapheme. So the phoneme is the sound and the grapheme is the name of the letter.
So we have the name of the letter and we have the sound of letters. Okay?
That's right. Yes. So the name of the letter is the name of the letter is the grapheme. The sound of the letter is the phoneme.
Yes.
Okay.
So sometimes we have variations. We have one grapheme with more than one sound.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
So I just want to make sure that before letting the others, if they have questions, we have like stretching sounds. We stretch them like sound, like sound, like sounds. But with the stops, we just say b, because sometimes you mention b and sometimes b. So a l sound with no vowel in after it. So am I right? Like b, l.
Yes, so so basically, to keep it really simple at the initial stages of learning language, just focus on vowel consonant and consonant vowel consonant blends. Okay.
Yeah. You say b, it is two sounds actually, not one sound. Like
Well, b is just one sound. B. It's not it's b. It's not two sounds, it's one. B.
It's like the b and the a. But if you say b,
But.
yeah,
Boy.
just yeah, not ba. If you say ba, it is two sounds like b and the a like an apple.
Yes, so you've got to be very careful when you introduce the phonemes that you don't add another sound to it. So you
said like
it's not la, it's l and n.
There's no problem in stretching sound because you can say n, n. But with the stops, it is a problem that some the teachers tend to insert a vowel.
Yes,
like
and that will become a problem if they insert a vowel and then you try to blend. You'll end up with a problem. You'll end up not saying the right word.
It won't help them read words like bed or boat or it's just pure sounds. Then they can, when they blend it with other words like bed, it will help them, or like bat. Or, so it is just the sound itself.
Yeah.
Other question?
Yeah, questions about the curriculum. Hi, ma'am. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher in first grade, and I have a problem with my children with the exercises of the copy and trace. I want to ask you, during me,
Copy and trace. A question about copy and grade 1.
I want to ask why the 4 lines are not all dark lines. The first and the fourth line are spots or dots just.
Ah, good question. Right, so in English, the letters we have got, and by the way, for the first grade, only do lowercase. Do not introduce uppercase, the big letters. Okay, keep it to the lowercase. So the 2 dotted lines in the middle are for all the letters, the little ones like A and C and E, okay? And the hard line at the top, the black line at the top, are for all the letters that have got ascenders that go to the top line. So B, D, L, and then the bottom line is for all the words, all the letters that have descenders. So this is why I have 4 lines. Now, I think for grade 1s, the amount of space that you have in the book is too small for them. It's really, really small. Now, one of the things, I'm just going to get a piece of paper from my photocopy paper. I'm just going to show you a little trick that I use for making extra word cards in the classroom, but also for when I teach children when they first start to write. They really need to start writing big before they start to write little. Okay, so let me just quickly get a piece of paper. It's just here. Just one sec. So this is what I do. I just get, just photocopy paper, And I've got quite a few pieces there. And this is actually something that I was taught in Saudi Arabia, because I used to measure very carefully and then put lines. And then one lady, a teacher in Saudi Arabia, said, "Ah, what are you doing wasting your time? Why don't you just do this?" And she was right. So I get this, I fold it like that, as if I'm making a telescope like this. Yeah. So I made a tube. And then I squash it. I squeeze it like that. And then when I open it, look what I've got. I have got the top line. I have got the second line, the third line, and the last line. And that size is a really good size for children to start to write on. That size is really good. The other thing that I like doing, because, you know, it obviously wastes paper, you use a lot of paper, is use recycled paper, use the other side. If you have got a playground that has any earth in it, sand or earth, I like scratching on the ground as well.
And you can use mini boards.
You can use mini boards as well. You can make your own little mini board with a piece of paper inside a plastic folder, and then with a marker pen so that they can rub it out. So if you don't have mini boards, you can make your own. It's very easy to make your own. But letter formation is another one of my passions. You have to teach it properly with English. It's really important. Otherwise, and you have to start when the children are quite young, because the fine motor skills that you need with your hand are very different for doing the letters in English to the Arabic symbols. And basically you have to program your brain by repetition to get the strokes right. Any other questions?
I'm teaching grade 5 students with no achievement who get low marks in the English exam. What should I do for them? You know, the main reason, the main cause is reading. They can't read. What should I do?
Okay, so grade 5. Now, so the exam, what is in the exam? Because actually they will get low grades depending on what your focus is in the exam. What is it that you want them to show they can do?
We focus on the course, they have different skills, but some of the problem we face in our schools that, for example, students in grade 4, 5, some of them, they go to grade 4 and 5 and they cannot blend sounds to words, and that makes them able to make benefit of the learning opportunities provided by the teacher. And this is a problem. They have curriculum to cover, but they lack the basics, like what you said, associating the sound.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if they have reached grade 5 and their spelling is still really bad, I'm afraid the person that I would blame, maybe is a very strong word, is grade 1 and grade 2, because those things of letters and sounds, letter formation, they need to be taught by very good teachers in grade 1 and 2. Otherwise, it's very difficult at grade 4 and 5. If you find that they are terrible at writing and they have no idea about blending, you have to do it at that grade. You have to, you have to do the grade 1 work.
Yeah, so you have to just make them.
But I want to add, there is a big gap between 40 grade and 50 grade.
Yes.
Curriculum. So, okay.
Yeah. most of the teachers who teach grade 5 find that there is a gap between grade 4 and grade 5. So in grade 5, they start taking like the design of the unit, like grade 6, 7, and 8. They have reading and comprehension, and the design. Yes.
All right. Well, grade 4 is the first grade that you actually do tests in, isn't it?
No, in grade 1, 2, 3, and 4, they do not have, the students do not have to pass those tests.
Yeah,
but they do some kind of.
But they
grade 5.
Yeah. So you think that there's a gap between grade 4 and 5?
Is that the design of the book is different? They start reading extended, for example, reading passages, comprehension questions. It's like developmental stage.
Well, as I was showing you before, the way that the materials have been written is that they are a development each level. Unfortunately, if the teachers in the lower levels have not followed the teacher's book, the children will not be prepared for what is in grade 5. They just will not be ready. So if you're finding that the children are not understanding, I'm afraid you're just going to have to go back to the beginning and teach again. Because they have missed.
So now the teachers in the afternoon shift, they need to move to their schools. But this is very rich session. Okay, they still have lots of options, but I'm afraid that we don't have enough time. So can we have another session when
you can have however many sessions you like. You are in my heart the whole time in Palestine. You just have to tell me what you want and I will organize it.
Okay, that's great. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
So if you can work out just agree between you, what are the sessions that you find the most useful, then I can plan to do that. And then each time just focus on a small part.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So we can have discussed this on all of
But also, as I showed you at the beginning, there are a lot of recordings of me, video recordings on that English for Palestine website. Please do look at that, because I think that I don't know any other publisher that has such good quality materials for their publication. I think that Macmillan spent a lot of money on that course.
Yeah, exactly. We discussed that lesson of 6th graders by Wendy. Yeah, we discussed that.
So I just
So
if you can work out, if you can just let me know which reader for, what topics people would like. And here, as I promised, I have cut and pasted from Learner English some information which, this is not for children, this is for you to help you understand the difference between English and Arabic if you haven't worked it out already. The difference in vowels and spelling and writing. So all of this I just cut and pasted from, but I've given you the link. So this link here, you go to that. You might have to join academia. It's free, and you can actually get quite a lot of really useful books, whole books, from this particular site. And there I am, finished.
thank you very much, Wendy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing.
So please tell Rita what topics you would like me to help you with. and I'm very happy to do that. You know, another thing that, you know, you might quite like to do is if you want me to do like a demo lesson with a class.
Wow.
I don't know quite how that would work, but I would be like a remote teacher. If you had some children there and the teachers are surrounding the children, you tell me which lesson you want me to teach. I will do a demonstration lesson for you.
Wow, great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So you just have to decide, okay, which level, which lesson you want me to do. Obviously, it has to. Don't give me something that the children haven't, you know, been prepared for. So I don't know what unit you're up to, but you know, if you want me to start a unit in a particular grade, then I could do that. But remember, the way I wrote the materials, there's a lot of recycling. So don't go and give me a unit right at the end if the children haven't had the language in the middle.
Yes, I do understand. Yeah.
But I'm very open to doing anything like that if you would find that useful.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So just tell Rita what it is that you need, and I promise you I will do it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording now. This saves, and I will send it to Rita, and then she will share it with you, and you can watch it again when you want. Okay? Anyway, it's lovely to see you all. And bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.